And in 1895, at the George Hotel, they shook hands on the breakaway that would become rugby league.
Hello and welcome to the totally wicked stadium, the home of St Helens. It's new beginnings for the Betfred Super League, but the aim is still to be at Old Trafford in October. Hello and welcome to the totally wicked stadium. It's the eve of the Betfred Super League. I've got two legends of the game alongside me. They've won 13 grand finals between them. It's Paul Sculthorpe and Jamie Peacock. Thanks for joining us, fellas. Let's talk about the new format, first of all, for the Betfred Super League.
Yeah, we've got rid of the old one. I think it was a general consensus that it didn't work. There was too many dead rubber games, and now we've moved back into the old system where we've got a top 5 playoff. But we still kept relegation, and I think that's good for the fans. People wanted that, and it's still going to be the jeopardy of a side losing their place in Super League. And
some rule changes. Are you in favour of those rule changes?
I am certainly. You know, it's all done to speed the game up and obviously keep the ball in play more, which is what people come to see. And obviously the shot clock, which will be used at scrums, at dropouts, you know, to speed players up to get the ball back in play. I'm a big fan of the new interchange rule as well, taking that down from 10 to 8. I think it's going to see a different kind of player. You know, it'll get away from the big fellas coming on for 7-8 minutes at a time. You know, there's going to be more expected of the players, and you're going to see fitter and faster players.
So hopefully a new quicker game.
Yeah, we'll definitely see that. I think they've got rid of the rules that's irked everybody. They've got rid of the free play. I mean, that used to waste a minute every time. And I think our game is based on honesty and hard work, and I think that crept out of the game last year. We're having halves lasting not 40 minutes but over 50 minutes, and I think the game we're going to see is a game based on hard work, being mentally tough and being a fit player, and that's what rugby league's all about.
On the eve of the new season, some big news today though. Wigan will face a 2-point deduction for a breach of the salary cap. Now, Wigan have said they're going to appeal this. Ian Lenigan, the chairman, has said it was an administrative error, not an integrity or dishonesty issue. Not great timing, Jamie.
It's not great timing at all. I think on the eve of the start of the competition, you'd find a better time to release this, but it's not the end of the world. Look, it's 14 grand. It's less than 1%. I think the the sanctions a bit draconian. I think, you know, taking 2 points of them is too much, and I think they've got every right to appeal that. But I'm more concerned what's going to happen on the pitch tomorrow night, Friday night, Saturday night. That's for me what's exciting about it, not someone getting deducted 2 points.
You'd echo that, yeah?
Yeah, totally agree. You know, it is obviously it's very strict. You know, Wigan have brought the rules in and they must pay. But as you said, 14,000, it isn't a lot. It's, you know, if it is an administrative error, you know, they'll certainly learn from that. But, you know, let's talk about what's happening on the field. And for me, no bigger game than Saints Wigan to kick it off. Must
stress this is an RFL decision as well, and Wigan are going to appeal the 2-point deduction. But we're going to start with the champions. We're going to hear from their new coach, Adrian Lamb. Adrian, welcome back to the Northwest. How's life at Wigan?
Yeah, it's beautiful. It was snowing yesterday, so welcome home, and I'm really enjoying it. I actually didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much as I have. I'm just surrounded by good people, good players, and, you know, great staff, so I'm really enjoying it.
You enjoyed success at Wigan as a player, so you know what it means, don't you, to the club?
Yeah, I spent 4 or 5 years here as a player and a coach in my first time at the club, and had some great memories that will last forever. So I understand how the club works and the people of Wigan and the town. You know, they're very passionate and they love their local derbies. So round one's a great start for them and for me. But, you know, the memories I have here, especially the Challenge Cup win in 2002, was one I won't forget, and hopefully I can try and bring some of that success to the players as well.
And obviously eyes are going to be on you after taking over from Sean Wayne.
Yeah, you know, Sean and the club has been in a great position over the last couple of years, and got some great young kids coming through. They've always had that luxury, and I guess with losing some senior players now, my role there is to probably bring the next generation through, the next Bateman and Tompkins. So I'm looking forward to that. But, you know, it's a tough gig to get a job when they've just won the Super League Grand Final and all 3 Super Leagues, as a matter of fact, the under-19s and the Women's Super League as well. So it's a great achievement of the club, and I understand the role that I have to step in now and move the club forward. I'm looking forward to it.
Can you challenge this year, or is it a transition year?
No, I don't really like the word transition, to be fair and to be honest. You know, if it's the last year of the players such as Sean O'Loughlin or Tommy Lillaway, it's hard to say to them this is a transition year for you, and we'll have plenty to play for. Again, the culture of the club and the history of the club, the success of the club is what leads the way here, and I'm looking forward to working with the players, hopefully giving them a different perspective of rugby league, both in attack and defence, and sometimes it's a great thing for a club is to have a fresh start and a new voice, a new face. So hopefully the players can pick that up and move forward and get some success during the season.
At the totally wicked stadium, the pitch is undercover ahead of the start of the Betfred Super League tomorrow night. Saints versus Wigan. What a game to kick us off. And Scully, you've had a look at the pitch, aren't you, under that cover? The pitch is immaculate.
The pitch is immaculate, and it's great to see that the covers are on, and there's absolutely no risk of this game not going ahead tomorrow, you know, to kick the Super League off. And what a game to do that. You know, for me, the biggest derby in rugby league, Saints v Wigan.
Yeah, what a start for the Betfred Super League. But let's talk about Wigan. A new coach, and look, I think he's got a difficult job, hasn't he?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's new beginnings for this Wigan side. I think Sean Wayne was the glue that held that side together over the number of years he coached there. Not only have they lost the coach, the guy who was in charge of everything, I think they've lost 2 of their 3 best players. I think Sam Tompkins has gone to Catalans. I thought he was outstanding last year. And losing John Bateman as well, I thought John Bateman was at times their best forward and their best player last year. And I think they're big losses, and I'm really interested to see how this Wigan team coach with that. I think they signed a great player in Zach Ardeka. I think, you know, Zach's looking for redemption, and I know Zach, and you can see the glint in his eye at the moment. He's on for rugby league at the moment, but my question is, Zach, how long is he going to be on for rugby league? And the problem Wigan will have is, can they manage him? Can they keep him in an environment where he's happy? And if they do, he'll be one of the best players in the competition. If we don't, we know what his history is.
I think we're all delighted to see Zach Ardeka back, though, aren't we?
We are. You know what? He's a great lad, Zach, and he is a tremendous player. You know, be one of the best players in this competition, and that is where we want to see him. We want to see him on the field, not in the headlines for doing something wrong. And you know, hopefully, it is a new beginning for Zach. And you know, I know he's living over in Wigan now, so probably out of the environment that he's been used to for previous years, where he's got himself in trouble. But you know, let's be talking about Zach in a month of some tremendous performances. Hopefully not tomorrow.
Yeah, I think he'll step up tomorrow. I think, having played with Zach and know him, he likes the big environment. He likes the big games, like you said. It's the biggest derby. He'll shine tomorrow night.
Okay, so what about the new man, Adrian Lamb?
I'm very interested to see how Wigan will play. Obviously,
he knows Wigan, doesn't he?
He knows Wigan. He was a legend player at Wigan, certainly in mine and JP era. A very creative player, and it's interesting to see whether he brings that into his coaching, or if it changes the way Wigan play. We all know that Wigan like the physical, dominant way of playing, the Sean Wayne way of playing. That I think conditions like today, and then the back end of the year when the weather gets, the conditions change, that it suits Wigan. They are aggressive, they're off the line, they're in your face, and it'll be interesting to see how Adrian Lamb has altered that, if he has altered, that dynamic. But as JP said, for me, there's massive changes in that Wigan side, and Sam Tompkins and John Bateman. I think Ryan Sutton as well will be missed. So it'll be interesting to see how Wigan go. Yeah,
I'm definitely interested. We keep using that word because I think aside, they represent the coach's personality, don't they? And I think you've seen the Wigan side before were tenacious, they were a tough side, and they were gritty like Sean Wayne, whereas Adrian Lamb was a creative flair player. So I think we're going to see a great attacking side, but traditionally that's not been their strength. And maybe when they get in tough times, what they're going to resort to, they're going to keep trying to be this attacking side, or they're going to resort to being able to grind out games. It's going to be interesting to see what they're like.
Because certainly towards the end of last season, going to the grand final, 10 games unbeaten, and they were defending fantastic, weren't they?
They were, and that's, as I said, that was the Sean Wayne way of playing. You knew what you were going to get. Wigan's defence was phenomenal at the back end of the year, and it's what they prided themselves on, and it's what Sean Wayne prided himself on. So, what are Adrian Lamb's characteristics of a coach, and what will he put into this Wigan side? It'd be interesting to see the likes of George Williams, how George plays, how he played under the previous coach to now playing for somebody who was one of the best halfbacks in the game.
I put to him, is it a transition year? And he said no. And he said that would be really unfair on the likes of Sean O'Loughlin.
Yeah, you could say that. Look, he's had 3 months. He's had 3 months with the team to get him right, to play the structures he wants. What's his ethos? How do we attack? How do we defend? What the things are going to be the non-negotiables for our team? He's had time to do that. So there are no excuses when the season starts. The side should look like an Adrian Lamb side. But my question is, and I think Scully is, when put under pressure, what's the team going to revert to? Are they going to revert to playing the way Adrian Lamb wanted to do? Are they going to revert to what they've known for the last 6 or 7 years that's really been in their DNA for the last few seasons? And it is a winning formula. It wins grand finals, kick chase well, defend hard and be tenacious will get you a grand final win.
Well, Wigan are here tomorrow night to kick off the Betfred Super League. Let's hear from the St Helens camp, and I caught up with coach Justin Holbrook.
I think it's great. I think it's great for Super League to kick our season off. St Helens versus Wigan. I think it's a huge game and a great way to start the season.
And in terms of the development you've made over pre-season, happy with the footy that you've been playing?
Yeah, definitely. The new recruits have settled in nicely. We've got Lachlan Coote, Kevin Aguama, Joseph Paulo all in our side, and having big Alex Wormsley back. Hasn't played since round 5 last year. So we've got some good players to gel in with the current team, and looking forward to facing a very good Wigan side on Thursday.
And 2 teams obviously right up there last season. Should be again this year. Should be 2 really good brands of footy come Thursday night.
Oh, definitely. Obviously they Super League champions from last year, so it's up to all us other 11 clubs to chase them down, and we get to start on Thursday.
Would you rather have had a few league games to kind of ease you into a derby, or is this the perfect start?
Oh no, I think it's a great start. As I said, I think it's great for the competition to have our 2 clubs open the season. So no, I'm happy with playing them first up.
How much can you set the tone for the rest of the year on Thursday night?
Oh, look, I think it's just you always want to start the season well. So we want to play well Thursday and continue that throughout the year.
And obviously you'll have silverware ambitions in 2019. But how much will you learn about your team this year come first game?
Oh, I'm not sure. We can't fix. We bundled out the semi-final last year, and we can't fix that till the semi-final this year. So we've got a lot of hard work to give ourselves that same opportunity. So we've got to be consistent all year like we were last year, and play a little bit better in the big games when it counts.
Justin Holbrook, look, we're live at the Totally Wicked Stadium. The pitch is undercover ahead of tomorrow night's start of the season in the Betfred Super League. It's St Helens versus Wigan. Paul Sculthorpe is here to talk about the Saints. Right, let's talk about last season, first of all. Regular season, superb. And then there was that Challenge Cup semi-final, and then, of course, the semi-final of the Betfred Super League.
Yeah, massively disappointing. I think arguably the
best team by
the best
far.
team throughout the competition by far. But that's the great thing with the game. You know, come semi-final time, it's do or die rugby. And for Saints, it was two games that they never turned up. And that's the format of the game. We know that before a ball's kicked. But I think they'll get a lot of confidence from the regular season, the way they played last year. And I think it's a stronger Saints side this season.
Because 2 seasons now, that massive disappointment in that semi-final against Castleford, and then obviously, I mean, there were heavy favourites, weren't there, for that game against Warrington?
There were heavy favourites against Warrington. There was certainly heavy favourites in the Challenge Cup semi-final going against Catalan, and that game was over for half-time. So I think they'll learn a lot from that. There's a lot of young players who were part of that. The likes of Danny Richardson, who hopefully we'll be stronger from that this year and learn from that experience. As I say, I think made some great signings as well. Obviously, there's no Ben Barber, but Lachlan Coote is every bit as good, and I think it could be a great year.
Talking about new signings, he's not one, but he's going to feel like one. Alex Walmsley back.
Great to see Alex. Obviously from a major neck injury, which I'm sure could have been a career ender if a touch worse, and it's great to see him, back fully fit and back in the team for the opener on Thursday. And
in the last 24 hours, 2 boosts. James Roby extended contract to 2021, and then in the last few minutes, you just heard about Tommy Makinson extended contract to 2022.
Yeah, tremendous signings. Obviously, James Roby, he just keeps going, doesn't he? But he plays at the same standard week in, week out. That'll take him to his 20th year as a Saints player, which is phenomenal. The way James plays as well, and obviously Tommy Mack, he's he's one of the new kids on the block and one of the superstars of our sport. So for Saints to tie him up long term, because I've no doubt there'll have been interest from elsewhere and overseas. So it's a massive boost for the club and respect to the club for for him wanting to stay.
We're not going to get any sense out of Scully about St Helens. They've won the grand final already, and ball's not been kicked yet. How do you see Saints this season, then, Jay?
I'm gonna have to agree with Scully. Actually, I just think I think what you see when a team has got some very good young players in is that they can be consistent every week, but they do struggle with the big game. Then eventually they'll get a season where they have the breakthrough and they win the big game and then they become dominant for a long time. And I think this Saints team is on the cusp of doing it. I think they've got some of the best English players. We worked with them with the England squad. Johnny Lomax, James Roby, Percival. We've got the Golden Boot winning Makinson. But I think the crop of young players coming through for me is so exciting. I think that they're the best they've got in the land, and there's 5 or 6 of those players I believe will go on and be the mainstay of this Saints team for a long time, and I think they could be on the brink of being successful again for another 4 or 5 years. But the key for them this year is that they need to win one of those must-win games, the sudden death games where everything's on the line and you've got to play at 9 out of 10, and this team I think is guilty of not playing at 9 out of 10 when everything's been on the line. If they can do that this year, then I think they can win the grand final, and I think they'll finish top of the league quite comfortably this year.
I think me and JP, obviously being forwards as well, are a little bit biased, but I think the forwards, set the platform in a team. And I look at this Saints pack now with Alex Walmsley, with Luke Thompson, for me, if not the best prop in the game, and then young forwards like Jack Ashworth and Matty Lees, who was the best player on the England Knights tour in PNG, who fronted up as a 21-year-old prop. I think that foursome to lead this Saints pack is phenomenal.
And a quick word on Justin Holbrook. Obviously, it's his 3rd season. He seems, he was obviously very disappointed last year, but he does seem happy, comfortable here.
He's a great fella. He's a great man manager. You see him amongst the players, and you see the difference in the club since Justin's come on board. And obviously, when players are signing 4-year contracts, they want to stay and play for him.
Let's turn our attention to the game. Scully's mentioned it. He said it's the biggest game in rugby league. It's St Helens versus Wigan tomorrow night. Let's get the Wigan perspective and hear from Tommy Luai.
And on top of it being a derby, it's the grand final winners against the league leadership winners from last year. I mean, it should just be 2 really good teams going against each other there, shouldn't it?
Yeah, mate, they were the benchmark last year for a long part of the year, and they they were outstanding really last year, and you know everyone was trying to catch them, and you know we maybe hit a bit of form late in the season, and got, you know obviously managed to win it, but you know they're a fantastic team, had a great season, and you know we know it's going to be a tough game.
Where do you see the major threat coming from St Helens?
Where do you start? Really, they've got Fred all over the park. You'd have to talk about James Roby in there. He's a fantastic player. He's one of the best to come out of the British game, I think. And you know, he's always going to be there, and he's going to take any opportunity that he gets. So, you know, we most probably got to start with that. You know, the forward pack, you know, containing them, but they've also made some really good signings. You know, Lachlan Coote at fullback. You know, Nagama in the centres. You know, they'll be dangerous. So, you know, it's going to be tough. But I think any big game like this, I think starts up front. So the forward pack will most probably determine how the game goes for both.
And just how much does game one set the tone for the rest of the season?
Well, I hope it does. You know, I hope we have a cracking game, and you know it sets the tone for the season. Look, you know, for these sort of games, are a bit one-off for us. You know, we always single them out every year, and like I said, it's a bit unusual to have it in round one, but you know, it's good for us. You know, we had a tough pre-season, a long pre-season, and we're looking forward to finally playing.
Here we are live at St Helens. Tommy Luai there. How good was he last season? I mean, that semi-final against Castleford, he was superb, wasn't he?
He's a bit of a beast, is Tommy, and I think he's got a bit of a reputation, certainly as a big hitter on defence. You know, he's a competitor, and while you've got players like Tommy Luai, you know, in that Wigan side, they're never going to back away from anybody, and I think that's certainly what I can't wait for tomorrow. It's the opening game, and it's going to be all guns blazing.
Come on then, tell us about St Helens versus Wigan. Is it just some hill between you? Is that it, or something like that?
Yeah, I think there's just Billings Hill, right where I live, funnily enough. So I'm right in the middle of all the mix of Saints and Wigan. No, it's just a great rivalry. I don't know what the mile, I think it's 8 mile in between the two towns, and great rivalry. And
it's the one game you've got to win, isn't it?
It is, according to the fans as well. You know, as the players, of course, it's a game that you want to win, but it is just one game out the season. It's not going to be a season decider tomorrow. But you know, for the fans, it is one game that you've got to win on both sides. You know, Saints fans and Wigan fans will be looking for, you know, them bragging rights tomorrow.
And well done to the Super League for starting with this, and then the Hull derby, and then obviously Leeds Warrington. Tasty fixtures.
That's what you want to see. You want to see big games off straight away, and they're all mouth-watering games, and they're all the games where the fans who win can walk away, like Scully says, with the bragging rights, and they're also the games that people from outside the game want to tune in and watch. You want to watch the Hull derby, you want to watch the Wigan Saints derby, you want to see where Warrington are at this year, what's Leeds going to look like coming back from where they were this year. So they're exciting times, an exciting round of fixtures to open the league with.
And how do you think it'll go tomorrow night? It's pointless asking him.
I think Saints will win. I just think Saints are a very, very strong side. I think they've got one of the best players back in Al Worms. I thought they missed him at the back end of last year. I think home advantage is important in a derby. So for me, it's a Saints win.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a Saints win. It's you know, I'm backing Saints anyway. But you know, it's great to see the crowd sold out. You know, it's going to be a very, very vocal group of Saints fans tomorrow, so hopefully performance to back it up.
So we kick off the Betfred Super League with some real tasty games starting tomorrow night. Of course, St Helens versus Wigan. But whatever you fancy to lift the trophy come October, we're top price.
Ben Barber over for the first try. Oh, it's bouncing around all over the shop. It's a try!
We are top price. St Helens, Warrington, joint favourites to win the grand final come October. But whoever you fancy, can Wigan do it again, 11-2? Can Castleford go one better than 2 years ago, 11-1? And they have the best prices you will get around. Leeds, 12-1 to win the grand final. So St Helens and Warrington are the joint favourites at 4-1. We're also this season going to be top price in the televised games on the first try scorer market. So I was having a look, and Tommy Makinson is the favourite tomorrow, 11-1. That is a top price. So if you're having a first try scorer bet, we'll be top price on the televised matches. Right then, let's just turn our attention to Warrington last year's beaten finalists, of course. Jamie, look to have made some decent signings.
Yeah, they are, but I think if you could level criticism at Warrington over the years is that their big name overseas signings have been poorly recruited. I think if you saw Tyrone Roberts last year, I didn't think he delivered at all, given the salary that he was have. And the signings that have been made this year with Blake Austin, I think he's going to be outstanding.
He's supposed to be special.
Yeah, every noise you hear from him, he's saying, look, I'm having it, I'm coming to England, I don't care about the weather, I understand it's cold, I understand the snow, I'm going to come here and embrace the competition, it suits my style of play. And whenever you play with any Aussies that come over, if they come with that attitude, they normally play well, and he's a special talent anyway, so I think he can deliver for them, and I think this could be the year that they're actually going to win something. You know, we hear it every year, it's always going to be their year. And I think if we saw that the way that the Warrington has progressed from how they started the year last year under Stephen Price to the team that finished it, I would say they were a far, far better team. And I think you'll see that team start this year. And I think they're going to be an exciting team to watch, and they've got some great players in good positions. The only problem would be, you'd say, losing Kevin Brown, you know, on the eve of the start of the year. It's not what you want to happen, one of your pivotal players to go down and out for the year.
A huge blow for Kevin.
A massive blow, for Kev personally as well. You know, Kev's a great lad, and I'm sure nobody's worked harder over pre-season than Kevin. So it's massively disappointing to see him out. You know, for him as a person as well as a player. But for Warrington, you know, a key figure in that team. So probably a bit more responsibility on Blake Austin, and an opportunity for somebody else that comes up. And I've seen it happen in the past, you know, where players are missed, somebody steps up and really demands that role. So, you know, for somebody like Dec Patton, or, you know, it's a great opportunity.
Do you think Warrington, if they could win one, then it'd kick on for a number of years? I mean, 2 losing finals last year, 4 losing grand finals in total.
Yeah, I think it could. You know, they've won obviously a couple of Challenge Cups over in the past decade. But I think the grand final is certainly a monkey on their back, and I think if they can really live up to the potential that they've got, as JP said, it's Steve Price's first year. I think it really, you know, he's really got his feet under the table now, and made and really made a difference to that Warrington side. You know, you hear all the talk coming out of the Warrington camp, and speaking to the players, that, you know, they really like Steve and the way he plays the game.
There is no excuses. There's no excuses this year. They've got the squad. Last year they had overall of players. There's been hardly any players transitioning. They've got a great marquee player. They spend as much as anybody in the league. They've got a coach they all like. So this is the year that they should deliver. They absolutely should deliver this year.
I agree with JP on the marquee player. I think in previous years, you know, they have been disappointing. You know, big names on big money and not delivered. So the big test is obviously, I think Blake Austin is a different kettle of fish, and I think he could make a hell of a difference to this Warrington side. Okay,
Blake Austin, he's the favourite for the Steve Prescott Man of Steel award as well. We'll be talking about that later on. New format as well. We'll be hearing from their new chairman of the panel, that's Ellery Anley. But let's hear from the Warrington coach, Steve Price. Steve, thanks for joining us. How's the start to your second season?
Yeah, it's been a great start. We're you know, working extremely hard through the pre-season. You know, the boys are over smacking each other now. They just want to start playing for competition points and you know, get amongst it. And but you know, they're in a really good head place. They're you know, we just got back from a training camp over in Browns, Portugal, where we had the opportunity to get a lot of work done, which we're very fortunate of. And you know, we're back in you know, some tough conditions of late, but which is great. So yeah, we're in a really good place. You know, the new signings have, you know, brought a lot of you know, strength to our playing group, a lot of leadership, and you know, it's exciting times for our football club.
How big a disappointment was that grand final last year for you?
Yeah, it was hard. It was tough, you know. But in saying that, I was, you know, really proud of the guys to, you know, make two finals, the Challenge Cup and, you know, Old Trafford, and you know, it still hurts, to be honest. You know, and also too with the playing group. So we've got to get better. We must improve. We understand that, and now we're just really excited now for the start of the Super League season to kick off.
Can you challenge again?
We'd like to think we can, yeah, definitely. But you know, that's still a long way off. there's a lot of hard work to go on between now and then. You need a lot of luck. You need to be playing good football at the business end of the season. So, but our challenge now is to just keep improving as individuals, as a team, as a collective group, and if we do that, then we'll give ourselves every chance.
Steve Price talking to me last week at the launch of the Betfred Super League. We're live here at the Totally Wicked Stadium ahead of St Helens versus Wigan tomorrow night. What an opener for the Betfred Super League, and as you can see, the pitch is under cover, but we're told underneath that cover the pitch is immaculate ahead of the season up. Let's just wrap up about Warrington. Where are we going to finish then, Scully, do you think?
I've got Warrington for second behind St Helens. I think,
yeah.
And that's not a blinking view, Mark. JP's gone the same as me though. So no, but I think Warrington could easily win silverware this year with the quality that they've got.
I think second as well, but I do think they need to win one piece of silverware along the way this year. I don't think being the bridesmaids is good enough this year for this team.
OK, well, let's turn our attention to Leeds now. Of course, they won the grand final in 2017, ended up in the qualifiers last year, but we've got a new coach. It's a former player. I call it with David Ferner. You know the ethos of the club, and you won the grand final with Leeds back in 2004.
Yeah, look, it's I know. Look, I was very privileged there to be involved with that team, and that team sort of had a lot of good young players there that went on to be so successful with Leeds Rhinos for a good decade. So your Kevin Sinfields, your Danny Maggs, your Rob Burrows, Chef Walker. There was a lot of names there that for the next 10 years or so there that made it such a successful club. But I think that was to do with people like Gary Heverington and Paul Caddick and the people there that sort of built that club. And the players, as I mentioned there before, are still sort of involved in the club. So it's and it's a privilege as well too to be coaching the club again.
And obviously the Leeds fans, it's been a roller coaster for them, hasn't it? The grand final, then the qualifiers, grand final, then the qualifiers.
Yeah, look, I haven't really dipped into too much of the last year before. I do know where the club has been, and it's obviously with myself and the staff and the playing squad there. We need to obviously get it back to where it's used to be. So we know we've got a fair bit of hard work to do. Got some improvements, but certainly have got a committed group there that want to. Obviously be successful, so whilst you've got that, you've got an opportunity.
Do you feel like you're getting there?
Oh, it's going to take time. I think why I say that, there's some players there that we've obviously come into the squad now. We've got some young players there which are showing a lot of potential, which need to have what I call connections. Again, certain positions there where we've got something like Richard Myler and Tui, like two new half sort of combinations. Those are the sort of areas there we need to work hard at. Obviously there, Trent Merrin coming in, a lot of experience which will be great for the squad, and Conrad Hurrell as well. So not to forget too, Callum coming back. That's like a new player coming back. So we've got some work to do, but my main focus is to get to know those players and get to know the squad. Two is just to make sure that our improvements are each week as individuals and as a team.
Jamie Peacock alongside me, you're back working at Leeds. How's the atmosphere around the club?
Yeah, it's good. I think it's in exciting times. I think they're very pleased to have Dave Ferner back involved. He was there as a player. He was a great player for the club, very competitive, a very mentally tough player. And I think from what I've seen of the side when they played Boxing Day, they defended like that. They were a tough, gritty side to play against. And I think that everyone's just excited to see what this team's going to be like, what the new signing's going to be like. Is it going to be different from last year? I think it's going to be different from last year. I think it's a slow process, rebuilding this Leeds squad from where it's been at. I think the new signings are key. I think they'll be exciting. They've got the best centre pairings in the competition. You'd almost say they've got the best centre pairings in world rugby, with Hurrell and Callum Watkins. They're going to score plenty of tries.
Great to see Callum back.
Yeah, it's great. Callum's a fantastic player. Callum's one of them players. gets you on the edge of your seat when you get the ball. You don't know what's going to happen. He's a wonderful, wonderful player, and I think in the 2017 World Cup, I think he cemented his position as the best centre in the world. And he came back and he scored on his testimonial game. It's great to see him back. I think the test for Leeds is, have they got the strength in depth in squad? I don't think they have. I think on their day they can beat anybody. I think they've got the quality of players who'll stand up, and I think the quality of signings for the marquee players are good. Where I'd look, what needs to go well for Leeds? I think the front row needs to aim up this year. I think the front row have got a big job to do. I think they're more capable of doing it, but then they need to play well each week if Leeds are going to go forward and progress from last year.
Why has the last 4 years been such a roller coaster?
I think losing
Obviously
players, yeah. I'm glad you said that, not me. But there's been some big names retired.
Yeah.
Rob Burrow, Danny Maguire, Kev, myself, Kylie. There's probably now 3,000 games worth of Super League experience there, and you just don't replace that overnight. And I think you question where's the recruitment at, and I think the recruitment's been a little bit better this year. It's been way better this year, and they've added some quality into the side, and I think they've got. Just beneath the first team, they've got a crop of very, very good youngsters. A lot of them featured in the England win against Australia in the recent series. And I think the case for this year is it's a year of building, seeing where they're at. Then hopefully this next generation of youngsters can come through, and you'll be back at the beginning of the cycle like they had in 2004, 2005 when Rob Burrows, Danny Maguire, Jamie Jones, Kev came through.
Okay, so what's success for Leeds, Sherman?
I think finishing in the playoffs is a success for Leeds, because I firmly believe that the side on any day can beat anybody. I think consistency will be hard because of the strength of depth in squad. But once you get in that playoff system, you've got to nail 3 games. And you can get to and win at Old Trafford. Your best players stand up. And if you think you've got Callum in one centre, you've got Conrad Urrell in the other centre, there's 6 points, there's 12 points there, and it'll give you every chance of winning playoff games and getting to the final.
And a quick word on this redeveloped Headingley. Obviously, away games for a month and then back at Headingley.
Yeah,
redeveloped.
They've got.
It's looking good.
It's you know what's amazing? On Boxing Day, myself and a few of the other ex-players came on the pitch to officially open the South Stand, and the one consensus amongst us all was we all want to play again back on the pitch, because it's just amazing. And once the South Stand's open, once the North Stand's open, it's going to be a stadium that Rugby League can be proud of throughout the world. It's an amazing stadium, and it's going to be. I'm hoping to see some great games there where everything's on the line, and we have the Leeds side of all where they're challenging at the top.
Where are Leeds going to finish this season, then?
I think definitely in the top 5. As JP said, the players that they've got. For me, the biggest signing is Dave Ferner. I think I know Dave personally. He is a competitor. He's a winner. He won't accept shortcuts, which I think, looking at the Leeds team over a couple of seasons in the past, 3 or 4, have done that. And with some of the quality. And great to see Callum back as well. They are going to win games, and then you get to that top 5. As JP said, win 3 games. You can be at Old Trafford, but Leeds are a big club. They've got a great infrastructure. Financially back. They've got a great crowd behind them. They can. They're obviously going to compete.
Well, let's just leave the Super League for a moment, and obviously a team wanting to get into the competition is Toronto, and Toronto is now coached by the former Leeds Rhino coach Brian McDermott. He won the grand final 4 times with Leeds, and now he's at Toronto. Why have you taken on this challenge?
Well, I'd explain the obvious. It's got some excitement about it. It's different. Not just a little bit different, it's hugely different to any other rugby league club in the game. The potential for it, and the projects, Brian Noble calls it a project, is enormous, and if we can get into Super League and then really have a crack at Super League as well, you're then not just achieving things for your own club, you're actually making some headlines for the game itself, and everybody's got to. Well, the majority of people have got a drive and ambition to make rugby league a bigger sport and more recognised than what it currently is. And it would seem everybody you speak to, most people you speak to, have got this almost like a second agenda. They want to win the competition for their own club and for their own personal benefits. But everybody in the game wants rugby league to be challenging up there with some of the other sports in the country. I know from my time coaching the London team, Harlequin Rugby League it was called at the time, and I know that you're only going to achieve those things if you do something extraordinary. It's great that Leeds and Wigan and Saints and Warrington and Hull, Castleford, you know, and maybe one of the two clubs have got a chance of winning Super League. But I think if a team like Catalans or Toronto or London, you know, or Toulouse, you know, are the grand final winners on a, you know, or Challenge Cup winners regularly, you know, most, you know, every other season, you then start making people take note. And some of the people who are not necessarily involved with the game to start with, you know, major sponsors, investors, crowds, TV deals, it will all come from the growth of the game. It's got to come from outside the M62 corridor, which long-windedly, that's why I took the job.
Did you have any hesitation when you approached?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, for sure. It's not something I know Brian Noble extremely well. And when contact was made, you know, straight away, it was on the list of clubs I wanted to do, for sure. You know, I don't want to play it too cool, but for sure, you've got to ask some questions. You've got to find out where it's at. I want to find out what ambition they had, whether it matched my own, and you've got to make sure it was the right option as well, in and amongst all the other options that were there. So it's been a decent process to go through.
Some new faces in the squad this year. Have you had to pick them up after that £1 million game?
Not necessarily. I have reminded them how bad a deal it was that they didn't get one. You know, they should be in Super League right now. I think what's gone on since the Wolfpack was formed, it's been a great story. It's been a fantastic story, and that could have been, you know, a chapter in the book which would have been a very good one, but they didn't. I think under Paul Rowley, the coach, they've played a really good brand. You know, certainly when he was at Leigh, Paul, you know, he played an expansive brand, very attractive teams to watch, really good attacking teams, and he brought some of that to the Wolfpack. And over the last 2 years, there's been some major strides made. The fact that they didn't get up as call it a blip, call it what you want, put a cliche on it, but the fact is it was a big call. It's a major negative, if you like. Should be in Super League, given how they played last year. So, and the players know that. And I haven't had to do too much in terms of motivations to say let's go at this again. As I've already said, they're a great bunch to be around. They've got a tremendous work ethic and ambition. So that's when you walk in the training field in pre-season as a coach, you don't want to be waking your players up on a morning. You want them to be already there and have that look in their eye. And the Wolfpack boys have already got that.
Great to see Brian McDermott back in the game. Thanks for all your comments, by the way. Tim Harwood here is saying, Cats, I feel, have been a top four with Warrington, Leeds and St Helens. And then Kim is saying, disrespect Hull at your peril. You've already done that, haven't you, Jamie?
No, I've not disrespected him. I'll tell you what I've done. I've just given my opinion on him. I've got a lot of respect for people in Hull and on the Hull FC side, and obviously a huge amount of respect for KR. But am I to give an opinion? If my opinion's right or wrong, so be it.
No, I think we've been a bit unfair, but basically you've said you think Hull could be up against it this year.
I think they're going to struggle. You know, I think they came off they finished last year just losing. They were in a losing streak. They were in a rut. They've had a pre-season to sort out, but they're going to start the season minus 3 or 4 of their quality players, the players who get tries for them. Albert Kelly, Jake Connor, those two create tries for them, and they're playing in the derby. I will just disagree with Scully. The biggest derby in rugby league is the FC and KR, and if they get off to a losing start in that, I believe like derby losses have a far greater impact. They continue on for a couple of weeks. The impact of losing it and the emotion and everything you get drained out of it, and winning, you take that emotion and that positivity on forward for the next couple of weeks. So it's going to be, I think it's really interesting, this game on Friday.
Yeah, so we've got a Hull derby, we've got St Helens versus Wigan tomorrow night, Hull derby on Friday night, and playing for Hull KR will be Danny Maguire, of course, a man that Jamie knows very, very well, and Danny has said this will be definitely his last season.
Yeah, definitely. I've really enjoyed my time at Hull KR. You know, it was something I'm really glad I did. Obviously, I loved my time at Leeds, but going to Hull KR, give me a fresh lease of life, really. But I think mentally and physically, it's the right time. I'm determined to have a really good season this year and finish on a high. And it's an exciting time. But yeah, it will be my last year, and looking forward to having a big one.
Still enjoying pre-season?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been tough, and I've got some great people working at Rovers, and they've looked after the old body, so I can't complain. And I think you ask most players, they just want to get into the week-to-week grind. Once you've done 8 weeks pre-season, you're just looking forward to playing, and obviously there's no bigger game than the derby first up.
What a start for you, Hull derby.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I missed all 3 games last year, a couple through suspension and one injury, so I never got to sort of sample the atmosphere, and I'm really excited about that. I can't wait to get into that game. Obviously it's at Craven Park as well, so we'll have a great following behind us, and it's a great way to start the season.
What do you think Hull KR can do this season then?
I think we're quietly confident. I think our recruitment's been really strong. We lost a few players at the back end of the season, but probably lost quite a few numbers, but added a little bit more quality this year. So there's a quiet confidence within the camp, and we're excited, and I think the competition is going to be really close and intense. But I think we can surprise a few people, definitely.
Is it tough in some respects going into your last season? This is going to be, last time you walk into the dressing room, etc. Last time you walk out at, wherever.
Yeah.
Is that going to play on your mind this season?
I think that's just what I'm looking forward to more than anything. I think playing against your Wigans away and your Warringtons away, knowing that it's potentially going to be your last game there, and just sort of embracing it really, and I'm really determined to enjoy the season and not get too emotional over things. Just go out there and enjoy it and try and play as well as I can for Hull Kingston Rovers.
Try and savour the occasions.
That's it. Just savour the occasions, and I've obviously had a pretty good career. I've been playing first grade since I was sort of 18, so body's struggling, and but I'm just going to try and go out there and just enjoy it and do my best for the team.
So we're live here at Totally Wicked Stadium. The Betfred Super League starts tomorrow night. St Helens versus Wigan, and on Friday, as we've been hearing, it's Hull KR versus Hull. And let's hear from the other side of the city and hear from hooker Danny Houghton. Danny, what a start to the season with a Hull derby.
Yeah, mate. It's for what happened last year for us, it's probably the best way to kickstart our season. The intensity of the game. Everyone's going to be able to switch on and clock on to the job in hand. We know Hull KR have recruited really well. We know what they've added to is pretty good, and we know they're going to be a force at home especially. So we know round 1 this week building up into that game is going to be a special week and something that we're all looking forward to. And not only for Hull FC and Hull KR and the city, I think it's great for the Super League as well. And to kick-start the season, how they're kick-starting it, it makes out for hopefully a long, successful season.
And for people who don't know, how big is this rivalry between Hull and Hull KR?
People ask all the time what's the biggest derby, but for me it's being in and around the city. Come derby week, win or lose, it's pretty special, and it's whether you like rugby league or not, you're always painted to one side of the city, whether you like Hull KR or Hull FC, and that buzz and that environment around the place, around the city is special come derby week. And us as players, we're fortunate enough to be able to play in it and sample that sort of atmosphere.
Are people already stopping you in the supermarket? Make sure you beat Hull KR.
They were stopping me in November. Make sure you beat them round 1. It's great. It's, the banter and the camaraderie in the city. On both sides is great. It's all in tongue in cheek. It's all a bit of banter. It's all a bit of fun. But come Friday night, week on Friday, we know it comes down to one thing, and that's making sure we get off to a right start and make sure we get 2 competition points. However the performance.
What do you think went wrong last season?
I feel it was a cumulative of things. Obviously, it was hampered heavily by injury, which in a salary cap sport, isn't easy. We had a lot of our top players, sat on the sideline. But in terms of last year, we spoke about it a lot in house, and we just want to make sure last season's put to bed in terms of speaking about it in that regard. But we want it to be a motivator and make sure that what happened last year doesn't happen again. And for the season we had in 16 and 17, and that silverware we had, and then weeks building up, the enjoyment we had afterwards, the celebrations, the memories we can take with us is a massive motivator, and it's something that we all need to strive towards getting back to.
Very honest there from Danny Houghton. 18-1 Hull to win the grand final. They're the best price you'll get anywhere. We've got joint favourites at the moment. St Helens and Warrington are both 4-1. Right then, Scully, where do you think Hull will finish this year?
I had them in top 6 if they got everybody back. I know they've not made any major signings this year, but they had an horrendous injury run last year, and I thought, get all them players back for this season. But seeing in the press in the last couple of days, obviously there's a good handful of them players that are going to be missing for this opening derby match. So, you don't get any more honest man than Danny Houghton. He was the first to apologise to the fans last year on some of them performances, and they certainly need to turn things round from the start of this season.
Jamie, what can Hull KR do?
I think Hull KR can threaten this year. I think last year they had a massive squad, but perhaps not as much quality, whereas this year I think they made some key signings. I think Wellerak is good, Mitch Garbutt, Josh Drinkwater, Jimmy Kainos. They're all Super League players, real quality Super League players. And where I predict they'll finish, I'll predict they'll finish above Hull FC.
OK, Man of Steel has changed this year. It's now going to be a panel, and the chairman of the panel is the one and only Ellery Hanley.
Well, the major change is that the format's completely different in comparison to years gone by. Simply, this time we're going to have 21 on the panel, including myself. You're going to have 7 of those particular players, are Man of Steel winners. They have a lot of knowledge of the game. Every couple of weeks, one of those players will go to each of every game of the season, and they will cast their votes in regards to whether the awards are given by 3 points to 2 points to 1 point to each player, whether it's from the winning team or losing team. The way I'll do it, just in terms of the transparency of how I'll view, if I go and I award the points, is very, very simple. I'll look at, there's probably 3 things I look at in the game. 1 is the defence, how they defend. 2 is their tackling. And 3, how they promote the football, and the 4th thing also is how long they can do that for in terms of long periods of time. I don't want to just see flashy plays and someone changing the course of a game by doing one thing. I need to see a player doing something for the whole 80 minutes, for the duration of the game.
Consistency.
Correct, absolutely.
When you look back at your own career, where do the Man of Steel award sit?
For me, it's the most prestigious award, what was probably given to me as an individual, along with the Golden Boot award. But to win the Man of Steel, I think that you've got to be consistent all year, and that's one of the things I prided myself on, in being disciplined, having that consistency, doing the basics well for longer periods than the opposition, and probably longer periods than the actual team as well.
So Blake Austin is the favourite for the Steve Prescott MBE Man of Steel award. These two gentlemen alongside me both won the Man of Steel, 2003 for Jamie Peacock. Scully won it twice. Obviously very, very proud to win it.
Very much so. I think Ellery mentioned there the most prestigious award, in the game, certainly individually. And for me that went even more prestigious in 2014 when it was named after the great Steve Prescott. So, it's for a player, to win that is very, very prestigious. And it's great to see this new system come in. It's very much like the Dally M system that they use in the NRL. I think it's fairer. It takes away from the players, doing silly votes, which we all seen at the back end of last year. The winner will always win. But there was certainly some votes in there that shouldn't have been, and this takes away all that. It puts it in the hands of people who know the game, who are watching the game, and it'll be a fair result at the end.
Jamie, agree with the changes?
Yeah, 100%. I think as well, the season's that long, it's 35 weeks long. You can't remember who played well in rounds 1 to 10, and I think it rewards them who play well early on, not the Johnny come latelys who play well at the end, and I think you'll see more forwards featuring it this time round.
OK, Luke Gale, of course, won a Man of Steel in 2017. We might not see him this season. Castleford's chances, Scully?
Yeah, I think Luke Gale is a massive loss for them. He is their talisman and virtually going to miss the whole of the season with an Achilles injury. And I worry for Cass, again, not made any major signings for this year. They've lost a couple of players. Obviously, Jake Webster's retired. He was a big player in their side. And I just think the Luke Gale factor could be immense. There's a lot of pressure, certainly playing with the young halfback alongside Jake Truman. I think Gale was good for him. So a lot of pressure on the young players coming through. You've got Paul McShane there, who is phenomenal. He's been one of the best players in Super League over the last 2 years, and I think he'll certainly take up a bit more responsibility. But I don't think that Castleford might have the success this year that they've had the last two.
In that semi-final against Wigan, they didn't perform last year, did they?
No, they haven't performed in a number of big games, and I think they'll be consistent again. I think Darryl Powell will make sure they're competitive in every game, and they'll finish high up the table. My question will be, have they got the star quality to win the big games? And you think losing Luke Gale, then probably not at the moment. I think in Truman they have actually got an exceptional half, a guy who will be very talented during the year, but I think they'll finish high up the table but won't feature in the grand final.
Let's just talk about a few other teams. We've got an interview with Darryl Powell, by the way, but you can see we're up against it. We'll put that on our social media later on. The New Boys, London. Could it surprise a few people, or is it going to be very, very tough?
I think it's going to be tough for them. Let's first of all give them, the rewards they deserve for coming up. I thought Danny Ward's been a fantastic coach with them. The exciting things for me about London being up is they're getting the chance to watch these London kids who are playing the amateur game. They get the chance to play in Super League. We're going to see them. That I think they're going to be fantastic.
Salford, massive boost. Jackson Hastings coming back. Yeah,
massive boost for them, and you've seen a lot of their build-up pre-season, all their social media and community campaigns is around Jackson. He is a major player in Super League and certainly a major signing for Salford. Again, very much like some of the other clubs, is that strength in depth of the club. Do they get a few injuries? How will they respond?
They kick off against Huddersfield. Obviously, they've had a blow with Jay McElvery.
Yes, obviously big disappointment. But Huddersfield, they've got a lot of quality, and I think you look at the way they finished last season. They'll be disappointed not to go further in the playoffs and make the semi-finals. They got a slow start to the season, and we'll be certainly Simon Wolford will be looking for a different start this year.
And finally, well, not finally, because they finished fifth last season, Wakefield.
Yeah, I think Wakefield will always be...
Two unlucky seasons.
Yeah, they've been unlucky, but I think they'll be difficult to beat at home. It's a tough place to go, but I think the change of rulings down to 8 subs will hurt them. I think they've got the biggest side in the competition, and also the speeding up of the rules. So I think, do you know what, they'll be good at home, but I can't see them challenging this year.
Right, appreciate all your comments. Hope you're going to enjoy the season as well. We really do enjoy your input, and thanks for everyone who has sent us stuff for this hour. We'll do plenty more of these Facebook Lives throughout the season. We'll have plenty of stuff on our social media as well. We started the show talking about Wigan and the 2-point deduction. It's an RFL decision. I think you gentlemen think it's harsh, don't you?
Yeah, I think, given they were just over 14,000 over, the salary cap's around 2 million, it's less than 1%. You'd think a fine would suffice, and you question the timing of the press release as well. It's a shot in the foot, I think, but is it that big a deal when we've got all this exciting stuff to happen? Let's just get on with the season. I want to see what happens out there, not what's
Go on,
happening.
Tell us about the new exciting stuff. Quickly, we've got rule changes, the format's different.
The format's different. We've got rid of the old formats, the top 5 playoff. We've still got relegation. Everybody likes to see that. I think we've seen some better quality players coming into the competition, particularly from overseas. And also the rules have changed. Rugby league is a sport where you see the ball in play as often as possible. And I think a lot of that was taken away from the game last year. We were seeing games last 50 minutes in one half. I think it was down to 40 minutes, and it's survival of the fittest and the mentally toughest again, and that's what our game should be prided on: honesty and hard work, and these rules enforce that.
Super League using the hashtag New Beginnings. Do you feel it's a new beginning?
I think it is, with a lot of the rule changes, and there's some great players, been signed in Super League this year from all the range of clubs. So I think we're on for probably one of the closest competitions. And, like we've spoke about, some of the rule changes, the shot clock, the golden point. For me, the reduction in interchanges, taking it down to 8. We mentioned Wakefield there. They've got a big pack, Paulie, David Fafita. It's going to be different for all these teams now. Players have got to play bigger minutes and certainly be fitter and faster on the field. And
come October, it's all about Old Trafford and the grand final. Who's going to lift the trophy? Say it now. We'll play it again in October.
Ask JP first and I'll agree with him.
All right. So I am going to go with St Helens.
I knew he was going to say that, so I've gone for Saints. I don't think we can deny that, you know, they were the best team last year and they're a stronger side this year, so I've got to go for Saints.
Gents, really enjoyed your company this evening. You'll be able to hear from Jamie and Scully throughout the season as well. If you've never watched the Betfred Super League before, tune in on Sky tomorrow night. It's live from the Totally Wicked Stadium. It's St Helens versus Wigan. You can see the pitch undercover, getting ready for tomorrow night. We've got some great games ahead as well. We've got a Hull derby on Friday night, and it's Warrington versus Leeds on Saturday. And on Sunday, we go to the Championship. It's Toronto versus York, who were promoted from League One. So it's the Betfred Super League. It starts tomorrow night, and it should be a cracker of a season.